Somewhere in a company's customer list, there's an account that's about to go bad. And we have no idea what the account is. We just know that inevitably there will be one. Will it be that one, or that one, or that one? We don't know. Welcome to Accounting How To. I'm your host, Carolyn Grimm, and that's my sidekick, Terrence. We're here to put the fun in accounting fundamentals. Now, whenever a company grants credit to their customers, that carries the risk that the customer won't pay. Most customers do, but some do not. So even with the best credit and collections policies, at some point, a company will have a customer that either can't or won't pay. So as accountants, we need to track these accounts. And how are we going to do that? Well, let's dig into it. But first of all, let's revisit what terms are. So when we grant credit to a customer, we're also saying that this customer needs to pay us within a certain period of time. And if they don't do that, then they are over terms, their bill is overdue, and we need to take some sort of measure to collect that bill. So if our terms are net 30, then on day 31, that customer's bill is overdue. Now let's say the terms pass. It's been a really long time. We've made multiple efforts to try to collect this debt, and we've been told either you're never going to see the money, or we're getting no answer from the customer, or they file bankruptcy. Well, at that point in time, we need to make an accounting entry, because right now, that amount of money that customer owes us is sitting in our accounts receivable account. And it is making it look like our accounts receivable account is more valuable than it actually is, because we know that there's a debt within that is not going to get paid. So we need to do something to shore up the balance in that account to make sure that we are accurately representing the value of our assets. So there are a couple of ways that we can do this. We can use what's called the direct write-off method, or we can use what's called the allowance method. Now, under the direct write-off method, we're going to debit an account called bad debts expense, and we're going to credit accounts receivable for that particular customer who is not paying their bill. So in this case, we'll pick on Clean Dino as an example. So we currently have an outstanding invoice with Clean Dino, and we have gotten notification that they're not going to pay the bill. So our entry under direct write-off method will be a debit to bad debts expense and a credit to accounts receivable Clean Dino to write off that account. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't owe the money, and it doesn't mean that we can't continue to try to collect the money. What we're trying to do here is make sure that we are accurately representing our accounts receivable value. Now, if at some point later on, Clean Dino decides that they will pay that bill, then we're going to do an entry where we reinstate that amount in our accounts receivable. So we're going to debit accounts receivable, Clean Dino, and we're going to credit bad debts expense to reduce that by the same amount. And then we would book the payment as a debit to cash and a credit to accounts receivable Clean Dino, like we would with any other regular accounts receivable payment. Well, what's the problem with the direct write-off method? Well, get ready. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We have a matching principle violation. The matching principle says that we need to match our expenses to the revenue. Whatever month we're earning that revenue in, that's when the expense needs to be. So if we do a direct write-off, it could be 3 months, 6 months after the fact, after we actually earned that revenue. So that bad debt expense may go to a revenue that we earned 6 months ago. So it violates the matching principle, which leads us to the other method, which does not violate the matching principle, and it's called the allowance method. So the purpose of the allowance method is to match the revenue with the estimated expense of bad debts that we think we may eventually have. So what it does, by doing an estimate, it gives us a more accurate value for our accounts receivable account. Now, in order to do this, we're going to have new accounts to talk about. So here's your new account alert. Woo, woo, woo. So we already mentioned bad debt expense. So bad debt expense is where we're going to track the actual bad debts so that we're taking that as an expense on our profit and loss. Bad debt expense, the type of account is an expense, and it has a normal debit balance. The second new account we want to talk about is called the Allowance for Doubtful Accounts, and you may see it called the Allowance for Uncollectible Accounts. It's the same thing, different name. So the account type is a Contra asset. I'll put a link for my Contra account video up in the cards and also in the description so you can get more in depth on what a Contra account is. But a Contra account behaves the opposite of the account that it's paired with. So if you have a Contra asset, it's going to be paired with a regular asset, but it's going to act the opposite. So the allowance for doubtful accounts is a Contra asset, so it has a normal credit balance because it behaves opposite of the normal account balance for the asset that it's paired with. Now, the reason we use a Contra account is because we want to preserve the balance in the original account, the main account. We want to keep that historical data, but we also want to track this other thing. So, for example, when we talk about fixed assets, we have a Contra account called accumulated depreciation. So we keep the full amount of the asset on our books, but we track the loss in value in this Contra asset called accumulated depreciation. We're going to do the same thing with our accounts receivable. So under the allowance method, we're going to do a journal entry each month. It will be an adjusting journal entry where we are going to debit bad debt expense and we're going to credit the allowance for doubtful accounts. And the way that's going to look on the balance sheet is we will have our accounts receivable line. Below that, we will have our allowance for doubtful accounts subtracting from our accounts receivable balance, giving us our net accounts receivable. So what we've done here is we've kept the historical data, our accounts receivable balance, but we have recognized that at some point in time, we will not get paid for something. We don't know what it is yet, but we know that historically speaking, this is what's happened. So now we are accurately representing our accounts receivable value on our balance sheet. Now, I said it was an estimate. Well, how are we going to make that estimate? We've got two choices. We can either use the percent of sales method, or we can use the analysis of receivables method. So under the percent of sales method, we're going to look at our credit sales, not our cash sales, because our cash sales we've already gotten paid for. We only want to look at our credit sales for that month. We're going to take that amount, the credit sales for this month, we're going to multiply it by some percent, and that's going to give us our allowance for that month. So that percent that we use is going to be based on historical data. We're going to look at what has happened in the past, what the percent is that we don't get paid for, and we're going to now apply that percent to the new month. And that's a percent that can change based on what's going on with the business. Maybe we hire a debt collection agency to go after some of our older accounts, so our percent of sales that we don't collect gets smaller. So we can adjust that percent as we need to. So we're going to take our current month credit sales and we're going to multiply it by whatever that percent is. So I've used a figure of $10,000 in credit sales, and our percent that we're estimating we will not be able to collect on is 1% for an allowance for the current month of $100. So let's look at what the journal entry would be under those circumstances. So we're going to debit bad debt expense for $100, and we're going to credit our Contra asset, allowance for doubtful accounts, for $100. Now on the left-hand side, you can see that we've posted this to our allowance for doubtful accounts T account. So we now have a balance in there of $100. Well, normally there would already be a balance in there because we've done this every month. We've done this adjusting entry where we look at credit sales for the month, we make a determination on what the percent will be, and then we're going to add this onto our account. So let's say that we had a $300 balance already in there based on these journal entries from previous months. So in this case, with percent of sales, it's different under our aging receivables method, but under our sales method, we're going to just add on to this account. So we had a balance of $300. We're now adding to it $100. So we now have an allowance for doubtful accounts of $400. So under percent of sales, we're continuing to add to our balance. Now on our balance sheet, it would show us that we had whatever for accounts receivable and $400 for allowance for doubtful accounts, and that would give us our net receivables at this moment in time. Now the second method, the analysis of receivables method, it starts with the accounts receivable aging report. The accounts receivable aging report is going to break down when our invoices are due and clump them together in different time periods. So we're going to have things that are current. We've just done the invoices for them. So they are not due and they're not past due. They're current. And then we're going to have a column that goes up to the 30-day point. So if our terms are net 30, those accounts are not yet due. And then we'll have a column for 31 to 60 days. So these are accounts that are now overdue if our terms are 30 days. And then we'll have a column for 61 days to 90 days. Those are much older. And then we'll have 91 days and beyond. Now the thing with bad debts is that the longer it takes you to get paid, the less likely you are to get paid. So under the analysis of receivables method, we're going to be looking at each one of those columns, and based on historic data, we're going to determine what the percentage is for each one of those columns. So if it's 91 days and older, maybe the chances of us getting paid for those debts is 1%. And then with the newer debts, maybe they're at the 31 to 60 days, we think that there is a, let's call it 80% chance that we're going to get paid for those. And again, this is going to be based on historical information. Another reason it's really important to keep good records in a business, right? So then we're going to take each column, the amount that's due, the total amount that's due, multiply it by that percentage, and we'll add them all together. So once we determine what the number is based on our aging receivables report, we're now going to adjust our allowance account to the desired total. Now this is different from our percent of sales. Our percent of sales, we just added on to the allowance for doubtful accounts. In this case, we're going to look at the number and say, okay, we need to adjust this now. So let's say the number that we come up with based on our aging receivables is $100. We're going to do our bad debt expense for $100, our allowance for doubtful accounts for $100. Now, assuming that the balance in our allowance for doubtful accounts is 0 when we start, then our journal entry is going to be bad debt expense debit for $100 and allowance for doubtful accounts credit for $100. So we'll post that to our T account. But chances are that we have a balance in that account when we start out. If we've been in business longer than a month, there's a balance in that account. So then what we want to look at is the difference between what we want the amount to be and what the amount currently is. So if we start out with a balance in that account of $40 and we want it to be $100 when we're done, based on our aging of receivables, then our entry is going to be the difference between the two. And again, this is different from the sales method. So under the sales method, we were basing it on current month's sales. Under the aging of receivables method, we are basing this on past sales, current picture, right? We are looking at what our actual debts due are and making a determination as to how much of those we think we're going to be able to collect. So in this case, we want our balance to be $100. So we're going to debit bad debt expense for $60 and our allowance for doubtful accounts for $60. And that will bring us to our desired total of $100. Now at this point, we have no idea under either method which accounts are going to go bad. Again, we're making an estimate because we want to adhere to the matching principle. So what happens when we find out that an account is going to go bad? We're not going to get paid. And again, we'll pick on Clean Dino. So let's say Clean Dino says, I am never paying this bill because I hate your products and I'm never buying from you again, and we really hate your face. So in this case, we're now going to credit our allowance for doubtful accounts because it's no longer an estimate, it's a real thing. So we're going to reduce our estimate by this amount, and we're going to credit the Clean Dino accounts receivable account to take that invoice off the books. Now again, we can still go after Clean Dino to get them to pay. This is only an accounting transaction. Now let's say we're able to improve our relationship with Clean Dino and they say, you know what, we really want to do business with you again and we will pay our old bill in order to be reinstated to your good graces so that we can get our dinosaur shampoo. In that case, we're going to reinstate their account by doing a debit to accounts receivable, Clean Dino, and a credit to allowance for doubtful accounts. We will then turn around and debit our cash for the amount that they're paying and credit their accounts receivable account. Now, if you go down to the video description, you will find a downloadable spreadsheet there where we go through step by step both the percent of sales and the allowance methods so that you can see an example that looks very much like your homework. So go check that out. And until next time, stay balanced, my friends.